I think you're winding me up on that one. It wouldn't happen. And it hasn't happened.
Because we haven't had an infinite amount of monkeys.
We've had years though, haven't we? There hasn't been one publication for monkey. They've been around longer than us. That's what I'm saying.
They've been around longer than us.
You're laughing, but I think you know it doesn't happen.
Okay, so it turns out that your average creationist is so dense that even a basic analogy of statistical mechanics and scientific refining is lost on them. The character who I originally made the video Abiogenesis, Evolution and the Infinity Monkey Theorem for, after he asked for monkeys to type him Shakespeare, responded to my video by asking again for a monkey to type Shakespeare, which means he entirely missed the point of the video, and then went on to say that the model displays a possibility of his specific god. This, of course, makes no sense. He used his misunderstanding of the same model to describe one incalculatably improbable possible thing as impossible, and one dubious, ambiguous, and infinitely improbable thing as entirely inevitably possible. And so I'm going to give further explanation for the benefit of the back of the class. Firstly, this model is not a good argument for any kind of supernatural being. It relies on the fact that there is a calculatable preset probability. This is achieved based on a reasonably simple equation. It also requires a transitional phase and a point at which the goal is met. This is discussed in the original video from 5 minutes and 5 to 5 minutes 22. For the model to be applicable to, in your case, a god, it requires a calculatable probability based on the same or a similar equation, which it doesn't have. It requires a generating sequence transitional towards that being, which it doesn't have. Supernatural beings are presupposed on being eternal and without beginning or transitional periods. They are therefore exempt from the model. Even if this were a good argument, it is irrelevant to science, which is built on evidence and testable implications. Abiogenesis, evolution and cosmology are all evidence-based and were not formed from something like Aristotlian debate. Secondly, we have the assumption that this model is a tactic of apologetics to justify the randomness of abiogenesis, evolution and cosmology. Well, it isn't. My last video from 5 minutes 30 to 8 minutes 10 shows how inappropriate the random generation model is by refining it to better suit a scientific analogy. Before that, it was just an explanation of the original model that describes the concept of infinity and statistical modeling. It illustrates how, if a complex process is random, it will occur by definition in a finite time, but the uncertainty factor makes it so you need to allow for infinite time. I explained that undeterminable time is what is meant by infinite time 5 minutes into the original video. The monkey is metaphorical. The model was proposed long before the existence of random generator machines. This was all described in the first video. Right, now to answer a major speculation, I agree entirely. If cosmology, abiogenesis and evolution were all entirely random, it is very unlikely that anything that even appeared organized, including us human beings, would result from it without intelligent intervention, since there is only finite time to work with. Intelligent intervention, however, is simply a hypothetical refining process of selection. There is no need for this consciousness, as nature already features unconscious refining mechanisms. All processes from cosmology to biological evolution are refined by scientific mechanics of natural selection and arrangement boundaries, and have, by our standards, end products, despite there never ultimately being an end phase. For instance, the arrangement of matter and energy in cosmology is governed by the natural forces of electromagnetism, weak and strong nuclear force, and gravity. The products of these laws are galaxies, stars, and lesser satellites. These all indeed have the illusion of conscious refinement because nature arranges in a way according to material laws. Any solid argument for a creative intelligence would be of a structure that is not consistent with logical material law. However, so far all heavenly bodies are rough spheres, and the refinement of the sphere is proportional to the body's mass. Galaxies are all spirular disks, and nebulae are beautiful but chaotic messes that are working their way towards spherical shape. And no, natural forces are not strong arguments for conscious intervention. This has the implication that every natural force in the universe is artificial, which is an extraordinary claim and requires extraordinary evidence. I refer to Occam's razor. In conclusion, intelligent design proponents believe that everything without a conscious guidance is random and chaotic, and so anything with the appearance of order is the result of consciousness. However, this is not the case. When they understand that natural forces act as a refining process and the concept of testable evidence and Occam's razor, they will realise where their folly lies. ID proponents are probably already aware of this, however, as they have no testable theory nor positive claims that are not subject to an obvious fallacy. Right, now I hope this has come closer to explaining to creationists the basic concepts a little more than last time. I assumed last time was very straightforward, yet your video response was a total embarrassment and could have been avoided had you watched the original video properly. Well, I guess that just goes further to consolidate the strong negative correlation between religiosity and education, and how the average general population of a country's acceptance of evolution is strongly correlated with the country's education standard. And of course a total consensus for evolution within the scientific community, contrary to creationist beliefs that there is bias within a scientific community, as there is a reasonable number of Gnostic scientists as well. The bottom line is, no matter how much you zealously and dogmatically think otherwise, if you do not accept the naturalistic sciences of abiogenesis, cosmology and evolution, you have the intellectual credibility of Holocaust deniers, flat earth theorists, alchemists and geocentrists. Please rise for the random closing music clip.
We are the Village Green Preservation Society. God save Donald Duck, vaudeville and variety. We are the Desperate Dan Appreciation Society. God save